boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday School, parents, grandparents, teachers of Buddhist Sunday School, may you all be well and peaceful. Today we are going to have a presentation of an ancient story with good moral lessons. And the title of the story is The Greedy Barber. This story, right, is very ancient. Ancient means long time ago, very old, right? It means a very old story. And it's actually an ancient Indian story from India. So we will show you the PowerPoint. I will read the story, right? You will see the various pictures in comic form. And at the end of the story, we will have the moral lessons, the important Dhamma points, right? So as usual, we will let you see a PowerPoint. All right, so we launch the PowerPoint. Now you can see the cover slide. I think before we start on the story, let us take off my picture. I stop the video. So here you see the Greedy Barber. It's actually a famous moral story from ancient India. Right? And of course, you can also improve your English as you go along. Right? Now you may be wondering what it's all about. As we go along, you will know the story. So here you can see the barber. This barber, right? So long ago in ancient India, there lived a merchant by the name of Manibhadra. Now, a merchant is a trader, a sort of a businessman. Probably he trades in various types of goods, businessman. So he was very successful. So Manibhadra, very interesting name, isn't it? The merchant, right? He was rich, but he was a good person. He was virtuous, honest. Virtuous, the adjective from virtue. He has good morality. He doesn't do any immoral acts. Very good person. And he was rich. He earned his living through business. And he was generous. In other words, he practiced dana. So, wow, many men would flock to his home, would go to his house because he was very hospitable. He would welcome them, very kind, and he would offer them all different types of good food, and probably sometimes also offering them some gifts. Now he was very successful. You could see the dressing here, right? Successful businessman. Then one day, by making a bad investment, he lost all his wealth and consequently his friends. So of course he was doing business, trading to buy goods and then to sell them. And something happened, so maybe somebody cheated him, or he did certain type of business that was not successful or whatever. So many possibilities, isn't it? Just as today, when people invest in the share market, they also could actually lose a lot and become, bankrupt, in the companies and so on. So anyway, he lost all his wealth. He was no longer rich already. And then all the friends jambut went away already. So you can see not easy to get good friends. These are fair weather friends. When you are very rich or when you have power or fame, you are famous, then they come to you hoping to get some gains. Right? The English proverb, a friend indeed is a friend indeed. That is the type of friend very good. They'll stick to you. Even though you are poor, you have problems, they'll come to you. But most friends are not really true friends. It's not easy to find a very good friend. So you have to be careful of whom you choose as friends. So remember this, Manibhadra became poor. So now he was poor already. So one night, as he was going to sleep, so he was thinking, how can I blame them? To blame the so-called friends lah. So even if they did come, now here this one was a comic English mistake. Even if they did come, actually not them. What could I offer them? Right, no more. I have no more money. I cannot give them the presents or the good type of food. So what do I give them? My kindness, my nobility, my qualities as a noble person, of good morality, my love. They are not interested in these sort of things. To them, they are worth nothing. What are they worth? Nothing. So he was thinking before falling asleep, without money, I'm worth nothing. That's what happens today also. That's why you have to say no money, no talk. Terrible, isn't it? People have become so materialistic. And those days also, you have people like that, why should I live? I'll starve myself to death. So he was losing his will to live, he was so tough already. So then after that, he fell asleep. And when he fell asleep, he had an amazing dream. So what did he dream? He dreamt there was a man as a monk actually. At that time, of course, he was not a Buddhist monk. It was an ancient story. So there was this ancient religion, Hinduism, Brahminism. So that time also they had this, more like, we call it priest, but it's okay, they call it a monk who practice their religion. They more or less have left their homes and would lead the holy life. So this monk in the dream told him, a good man like you must leave. I will come to your door tomorrow in this form. So in the dream, he could see the monk was dressed in his robes, not Buddhist robes, so not orange. And then he was carrying maybe a jar or something like that. Buddhist monk would carry the alms bowl, isn't it? So nothing, very simple. So just now I told you, Manibhadra, having lost all his money, was very sad, isn't it? Now all the friends had left him already because no money, he had no money. So what happened? So in the dream, the monk said something very important to him. What did the monk say? Touch me on my head with a stick and I'll turn into gold. More gold than you could use in this lifetime. Remember, just touch the head with the stick. Then I'll turn into gold. What a strange dream, isn't it? So the next morning when he got up, when Manibhadra got up, so he was thinking, what a dream that was. Will it come true? Indeed, he had a very strange dream. What a strange dream Manibhadra had. Then he was thinking again, of course not lah. It won't happen in reality. It's because I worry day and night about money that I dream about it too lah. So he was just thinking it was a dream. Wow, if it were to come true, it would be fantastic, is it? This one is the wife lah. So let us go and hey, why is it jam now? So the morning, the norming, what happened? Right? There was somebody knocking, like this, knocking at the door. Right? I could see the animation. Someone's knocking at the door. Then the wife said, I'll open it. It must be the barber lah. Because the wife, remember, the barber would come to crop his hair, cut his hair. And indeed, it was the barber. When he opened, he found it was the barber. Right? So as he got down, the barber was cutting his hair. Then the barber said, oh, we're going to finish already. Then he said, just a minute. He said, there's another knock. No, at first it was the barber, but then the knocking went on. Then he opened and you know what he saw? Impossible. It's the very monk I saw in my dream, Very strange, isn't it? So, this was the monk that appeared in his dream. So what did he say? Come in, sir. do come in. And then he was thinking, wow, if the rest of the dream comes true, I'll soon be a rich man again. And you know what happened in the dream, what the monk told him. And this barber was witnessing all these things, he was still there, right? So Manibhadra remembered the monk had told him in the dream to touch the monk's head with a stick. Right? So in the house there was a stick. So he got hold of the stick and then he touched the monk lightly on the head and wow, very strangely the monk turned into gold. You could see like this here, right? The monk turned into gold. Wow, the wife also was very shocked. And this barber also very surprised of seeing that amazing thing. Then what happened? So then this merchant, Manibhadra, very generous, remember? They will do dana. So he saw that the barber was still there, but the barber was also poor. Say, I'll give the fellow some. He was thinking in his heart, very kind-hearted, isn't he? The fellow means the barber, right? Let him share our good fortune and so much gold. Wow, the wife also was very happy. Say, thank God. The Hindus, they believe in their God, the Brahma, right? Our bad days have come to an end. So we will become rich already. We won't have to suffer so much. So the merchant, right, Manibhadra, got some gold and then gave it to the barber. That's for you. And don't tell a soul about what you just saw. Of course, if this blood were to spread all over, the thieves might come to rob him, isn't it? So he say, because you are my barber, so I give you some gold. Then the barber say, I won't. You can trust me. So as he left the house, so he was thinking, wow, so these monks turn into gold, when they are clouded. The meaning means to hit very hard, like for example, to hit on the head. Because he saw at the distance, he didn't notice that it was just a light touch, So he thought it was a terrible hitting on the head. Wow. So then some bad intention came to the mind. He was greedy, you see. So he said, that's what I'm going to do. So next morning, you know what he did? He took a tree trunk, right? Or maybe some branches. And then he used his axe to cut into a stick. Because he saw the stick being used to hit. That's what he thought, to hit the heads of the monks. You see? There, this should be good enough. So he made the stick. Now we say, let's go to the monastery. That's where the Hindu priest, or you say the monks live. So then towards noon, 12 p.m., right, towards noon already, so he went to the monastery. So you know what he told the monks? Actually, he was going to tell lies already. Got some not so good intention because of his greed. So you have to find a way, isn't it? Say, holy sirs, I have some excellent canvas strips to wrap manuscripts in, and some money for monks who are engaged in pious work. He was actually not really telling the truth. So he said he had these canvas strips, large pieces of cloth, maybe square or rectangular pieces, and you could use these pieces of cloth, canvas, they are quite tough, and protect the manuscripts, because those days they would write on certain materials, all right, and maybe some important things, manuscripts, what the holy scriptures writings were found at also. So whatever so then you could protect this and I'll give you some money. You have so many monks here for the monks who are doing all the holy work He was saying like this, no. And then he said, you could actually use the money and the canvas, perhaps. Oh, this monk's very happy. He certainly could, generous one. They didn't know all the things that he had in the mind. Then he said, please come with me to his house. Right? He couldn't do it in the temple. He wanted the gold all to be in his house, isn't it? Please come with me. Actually, he had dishonest intention, right? And then also he was cheating, deceitful. Deceitful means he was going to cheat people, right? Not honest. So lying, this one showing a person who lies. So what happens now? Let us go on to the next one. So as soon as they reached the barber's house, of course you could see it's just his hut, right? Now these were the monks, they go around carrying the pots. The pots are maybe something like an alms bowl also. Also is a different type with the string like this. They carry like this, and then people give them food also. Then one of the monks asked, where is the canvas? Actually, he had no canvas. Actually, he was lying. He was so poor. How could he buy all the pieces of cloth to wrap manuscripts? To wrap, certain documents or certain important paper or whatever. At the time, they had no paper. Probably they had some other materials. Right? See, I first have to make the money to buy it with. He said, I have to get some money, isn't it? Then I will go and buy this cloth, this canvas, and then I give it to you all. And for that, you will help me to do it. So, you know what he did? A terrible thing, Right? He started to hit the monks on their heads with his stick very hard, because there was what he thought that he saw, that the rich merchant, the Manibhadra, or who became poor, right, a very honest person, had hit the monk in his house, But actually it was just a gentle touch. By the distance, he thought he also confused already, so he thought it was hitting the monk on the head. So he started to hit so many of the monks on the heads are very painful, isn't it? Right? You kill person also maybe to injure. So he say, help, help, painful. And then one or two, I better run for my life. There were a few of them, maybe 6 or maybe something like that. So one or two managed to run out, right? And they kept on shouting, help, the fellow has gone mad, he's a murderer. I could see the cartoon strip, just using a stick to hit on the head, And then this one is to show the monk running away from this barber's house, just the hut. So what happened now? Inside he was still hitting the remaining 3 or 4, So because the monks were shouting in the city streets, so in the city at the time, of course, they didn't have the policemen that we have now. They have the city guards, right, to jaga for the safety of the city. So their cries caught their attention, which means the city guards heard the cries for help. So they asked this monk who was running, what's the matter? A lunatic in there. He's a murderer. There are others in there. There are other monks. I better save them. A lunatic means a mad person. A mad person in there. These two reported to the city guards. He says, the other monks' lives are in danger. He kept on hitting them. We managed to run out. So, of course, he was still shouting, help, spare me, spare me. He continued to hit, right? So this fella, because he thought that by hitting monks on the head, then gold will come out, because that's what he saw, isn't it? But then he said, what a waste of energy. Not one of them has turned into, actually expected them to turn into gold. So the greedy barber was losing his mind already, becoming like mad already because of the greed also, right? And then also illusion, The mind was confused, couldn't think clearly. And then he resorted to an action that is not good. Oh, you hit on the head hard, it's a terrible thing, it's a crime, actually, assaulting, right? Whereas the other one, just touch slightly on the head, according to the dream. So, of course, here, none of the monks, he turned into gold. So then, let us see what happens next. So, the Greedy Barber for hitting the monks was snapped by the city guards, right? So the city guards caught hold of him, right? Then he said, hey, let me go, take off your hands, take your hands off me. What's all this? He was also confused already. He didn't realize that he was committing a criminal action already. So the guards had to catch him. We'd like to know what all this is about. The guard was telling her, why are you hitting, assaulting, assaulting those poor monks, hitting so hard on the head. Some were probably injured. We'd like to know. So we will bring you to the city judge. The city judge will want to know. Just as now, of course, you nab somebody and the police will nab the person and then maybe put in a lockup before he is charged by at the magistrate court or the high court. So modern times, so you have the judge, isn't it? So this Manibhadra was brought to the city judge. So the city judge asked him after the guards had reported what he did to the monk. What harm had those poor monks done you, you wicked fellow? Assaulting the monks, harming them. So the judge questioned him. So is there nothing, sir? But how else could I get rich? And then after that, he described, I said, I'm a poor person, what I saw in this Manibhadra's house. He hit the monk on the head. Actually, it was not true, just touch. And then the monk turned into gold. So I also want to have the gold. So then this is the animation of a judge, a modern judge on this one, right? So what happened next? So then the judge, of course, right, asked for the merchant, asked for Manibhadra, right, to be sent to the court. The honest merchant, kind merchant, summoned. Of course, he asked the guards to go and get him to the court. So, of course, Manibhadra got to obey, follow the court's order. So, the judge told this Manibhadra, this barber says he saw you hitting a monk, did you? Then this rich merchant, Manibhadra, honest merchant, well, I didn't hit him, but it might have appeared to him for someone who didn't know the whole story, right? So he was an honest, virtuous person, isn't he? So he would tell the truth. So at the court, Manibhadra told all about that had happened in his life. How he was rich and then lost the money to investment, became poor, even thought of committing suicide by not eating, isn't it? And then the monk appeared in the dream and the monk told him, you're a good man, don't take your life, all right, I will help you. So next morning I will come in that form, you just take a stick and touch my head and I will turn into gold. You will have more money, lasting more than enough for a lifetime. So he told exactly the truth all. So then this, you could see the Greedy Barber was there. He heard the whole thing. So he just imitated without thinking, isn't it? Without being sure and doing something foolish. So Manibhadra then told the judge, this is all about himself, just now I told you already. Told about his dream and the monk's command, what the monk asked him to do in the dream. So then this Greedy Barber only realized, so that's why my monks didn't turn into gold. So he thought that because he hit them on the head, he didn't touch and leave. But you will see that it was not the reason actually, right? So there was something very good happening to this poor Manibhadra when he lost his wealth, isn't it? Right? But this barber, right, Well, probably he did not have the kindness or the virtues and the generosity. So you even if he touched the heads of the monk, nothing will happen. Right? It was different, right? He did not do all the good things lah. Oh, then the judge understood everything really. It's not just a fool, but a greedy fool. You say you're not just a fool, you are a greedy fool and you did something criminal, which means that assaulting the poor monks on the head, they could die, right? Some of course were injured, some of course the two monks who ran away could witness the whole thing. A few others maybe got to be treated for their wounds and all the injuries. So sentence you to prison. So this one I just wrote something. So after Manibhadra had finished narrating all that actually happened, the judge found the greedy barber guilty because the whole truth came out already from now you see that this Manibhadra, he was rich again, so he could dress very well already. So you say you are guilty of deceiving the monks. Actually, he was lying, isn't it? Asking the monks to go to his house and then assaulting them, hitting them hard. So the greedy barber was sentenced to jail. So of course, a fairy tale, like a fairy tale. It's just a story, but a very good story with a good message. So Manibhadra and the wife lived happily ever after. So need to see a very good ancient story. And now we will actually now look at the moral lessons. All right. So let us now go to the next slide. This is the most important part actually, to learn the moral lessons. So here you can see some, this one is just a picture to give you the idea lah, right? Now, this one of course, I couldn't get a picture of the Hindu priest. So this one was a Buddhist monk with the robe. Doesn't matter, it's just to touch gently, but our greedy barber hit people on the head, isn't it? So let's look at the first lesson. So, one who practices virtue and charity, dana, will reap the fruits of his good karma. And that's a very important Dhamma teaching, isn't it? Right? So good practices. One of the good practices. Here you see virtue. Just now you saw, right, that Manibhadra was a virtuous merchant. So in modern terms or in Buddhist terms, we say that he had morality, sila. He practiced his precepts. Very important, the 5 precepts we have to keep. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, right? And no intoxicants. That's our present 5 precepts. But during the time also, Hinduism had the good moral precepts. They would not do anything that would harm people. They must always help people, support people, do charity, be kind. All these things also, the Hindus also have, you see. So then good things will come to you. You will reap the fruits of your good karma. Karma also is a term that is present in Hinduism. Right? Hinduism also you have the word karma, right? Your intentional actions, what you do, good or bad. So that is a very important Dhamma teaching. So remember to practice good morality and also to practice the charity, helping, generosity. So you have that very important formula, you can say. Practice dana, sila, bhavana. Dana is the charity, and sila is the morality, the virtues. And then bhavana is actually, this part not mentioned here, it is the training of the mind, which we have been doing in so many lessons, where we learn the lessons to train the mind, right? To be good, to be wise, compassionate, and so on. Right. So very, very good Dhamma here. Now let's look at the second one. It says a greedy person will commit unwholesome actions. He will suffer in due time. Let's say you look at the story, right? So he was overwhelmed by greed already, right? he was given some gold already, still not satisfied, not contented. He wanted more, isn't it? So he imitated the action, right, without really understanding. So you find that if a person is filled with greed, it can be very dangerous. The greed will drive him to do all sorts of bad things, immoral things. As today, you can see also that many people, because of greed, they become corrupted, right? They kill, they steal, they kidnap innocent people, right? And they do some other violent acts in order to gain something, like robbers, for example, isn't it? So the greed for money, for material wealth, for people's wives, also greedy for people's wives, and greed for all sorts of things. So if you are not careful, this will drive you to commit unwholesome action, which has bad karma. And I've told you already, the unwholesome action will be like killing, stealing, right? Telling lies, cheating, all driven by this mental poison, greed. Or in Pali, we call it the lobha. Terrible. So in time to come, because of the wrong actions, these people may be caught by the police and charged in court. Like now you have some terrible cases, isn't it? Big cases of people corrupted, stealing the country's money, corruption. That is riots money, isn't it? All right, and then they enjoy themselves, other people suffer, you see. So now they are caught by the police, and if found guilty or they go through the law, they can be put in jail for a long time, right? So, and then of course, if the greedy person kills another one in order to get certain thing, then you have the charge of murder, you can be sentenced to death. So you suffer actually, isn't it? And some people escape. They say, "Oh, I've cheated, but the police has not caught up with me." There may be cases like this. People have done unwholesome actions, but managed to escape the law of the country. But don't forget, everybody must die one day, isn't it? So when the person has this sort of bad karma, like killing, example, or torturing people, kidnapping, or some very serious crime, and very serious bad karmic actions, they'll carry this bad karma with them into the next life, future life. And then if there is killing, and some of them not only one killing, they might have done many killings, and according to Buddha's teaching. So when they get reborn, you know where they can go? They'll go into the woeful state, suffering state of hell, or maybe the animal reign, suffering, right? And then some, if they do some bad things also, they can be reborn as ghosts. They don't do good things, right? They are only greedy. They don't do any good actions. So all their good blessings, the good karma all used up already. There are no more already. And then still very attached to things. And such people can be reborn as hungry ghosts. So there's also very good dharma here. A fool imitates another's actions with no understanding of the actual situation, isn't it? So you notice that he had resorted to violence and aggression because he just imitated what he thought was the situation. So in other words, he was not mindful, and he did not study the situation carefully. He was not observant, and he was so greedy already until, he did something criminal already. This is a bad action that will give people pain and suffering, isn't it? So we have to be very, very careful. Whereas you have wise, good teachers or friends, and they do certain things, and you can imitate them, like you imitate the Buddha. And you take refuge in the Buddha, then you imitate all the actions and all the life happenings of the Buddha, what the Buddha did, all the good things. Or maybe Arahan or good monks. But this will greed. So they hit lah. It's terrible, isn't it? So we must always be alert and understand the situation, all right, in life. Understand very well. And then we have to reflect and think, is that action good or not? You can actually judge for yourself. If an action brings suffering or brings harm to yourself or to other people, then you must not do the action. In this case, it was very clear cut that his action brought pain, suffering, right, to other people. Who the other people? The monks, the innocent monks cheated by him, lied. He lied to them, and then hit on the head so terribly. They will panic, this crazy fella, mad fella, right? He was temporarily mad lah, mad with greed, so he could not think clearly, and then no wisdom. And also he didn't have this contentment. He was given the goal already, right? Maybe quite substantial, could last his lifetime. Not contented, he wanted more and more lah. So you find contentment is a good thing, but greed is terrible, it's a bad thing, right? So this is a very important Dhamma teaching that you have to follow. And we must do the opposite of greed. And the opposite of greed is generosity, right? To be generous, always very willing to help, willing to donate what you can to the needy. Like now, for example, so many people have no jobs and they have no food even, right? So do what we can, maybe a donation. And there are many people around also. Right? I read in the papers, wow, they go and supply the food to those people that have no food, Maybe some I read surviving on biscuits only, the poor single mother with a few children. So we must practice this dana. So dana is a very important moral virtue to practice. So not only I say I'm not greedy, but they don't do any good thing. You ask them to help, they're stingy. They wouldn't want. They say, no, I'm honest, right? That I don't cheat, I don't lie. But yet, you find they might not have a good rebirth because they use up all the good karma already. No good karma, so not enough merits. So that is also not good. So not only we must not be greedy, but we must be kind, generous. Then we must have compassion and loving kindness for other people, including animals. Now even animals also no food because the people are so poor to feed already. So terrible situation. Now you can see this. I like this animation. This little monk full of metta and also young, already being trained to be kind, generous, and then to have metta. So it's giving metta to all. Giving metta to all. Right. So now let's look at the fourth one. So it's very important to know the law of moral causation. You see, we are governed by certain moral laws. Just as our country, our nation, or society has its set of laws, isn't it? We must follow the laws of the country, because if we don't, then the country will get into problematic situation. People just steal or people will take other people's wives all those things. So there must be a set of laws, isn't it, for our society or for this, you see. So you have to follow laws. So you have also moral laws, the laws of the universe. You have various laws, and one of that important law is the law of karma, right? The law of karma. And to summarize this, we have done this before, this particular one. Good begets good, bad begets bad. That means if you do a good thing with a good intention, good things will follow you. There will be good results or good fruits. On the other hand, if you do a bad action with intention, right, like you want to kill the person because you want to get the money, or you want to get certain power or whatever also bad intentions, then you will have to pay a price. If it's not in this life, then also in future life. Even in this life, the law catches up upon you because of bad action, but your bad karma is there and it will propel you after that into suffering states. What are the suffering states? To be reborn in hell is the worst. Then the next one, to be reborn as animals, will be the next worst. All great suffering states. And then the third one, to be reborn as a ghost. So these three are suffering states in the Buddhist teaching. Then you have the two good ones. That is one interpretation from the scripture, that you have five realms. But later on also you have some monks writing about six, right? They have one more, it's called Azura. Azura will be the demons, the demigods, Yao Guai, Yao Qi, full of anger and aggression one. So later writings say that you have four. It doesn't matter, no point arguing this. But we know that you do bad, you'll be going into the bad or woeful states, right? And you have the two good states, which are the heavens, right? The devas, the heavenly gods. The one very good state to be reborn into. If you have the good karma, you do dana sila bhavana, which means that you observe morality, and then you observe your precepts. You observe morality, observe precepts, and then you do dana, charity, helping other people, and then also you maybe practice a meditation, listen to Dhamma, and then train the mind. You have these things, sure, as the one who say, why sure lah, that you'll be reborn as the gods. All right. Or you can be reborn as a fortunate human being, right? Fortunate ones, and then you can continue the practice of the Dhamma until you become enlightened, become an Arahant, or you become a Buddha. Then you get out of this cycle of the birth, death, and rebirth. You're no longer reborn, already you enter into Nibbana, right? Nibbana, you have 100% happiness, 100% peace, and it doesn't end. It's that perfect state already, right? Unconditioned state. So that is the goal of the Buddhist. But if you say, wow, very difficult already, but at least if you get reborn into good states, like maybe the heaven state or the heaven state and the human state, then when you get reborn already, you have the opportunity to continue. Otherwise, if a person there's so much of evil, bad karma, it can be reborn into hell, and this will go on for a long, long, long time, right? Millions and millions and millions of years of suffering. Just as you remember, we have mentioned about the story of Devadatta, Buddha's cousin, right? He was egoistic. He was in a way, you can say, greedy for power. He wanted to take over Buddha's place, that sort of thing. And he attempted 3 times to kill the Buddha. So that was very bad karma. And according to the scriptures, after he died, so he went into Avicii hell, right? Not forever, but for a very, very long time before he would get out and be reborn, maybe as a human again. He also had some good karma also, but terrible karma like hurting the Buddha, and then all the greed and the craving for power, wrong views, all those things. So today, you see, we have a very, very simple, I hope you understand the story, right? An ancient Indian story. It's not the Jataka story, right? But there are many good moral points. So that's why I was thinking, no, I try to prepare this one. Is a new one. I haven't done it before, right? And I, got to get all the pictures from the comic strips, right? So it involves some work, but if you all can benefit, happy to be able to share the Dhamma. The story, okay, you can learn some English, and also you can, learn how to tell stories, right? So here, that's my good wish. Good morning, may you all be well and peaceful, because at the moment now, this recording is done at 3 something in the morning, right? So actually I do the recording in the morning, very, very quiet. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I'd like to thank all the students, the boys and girls, the students of the Buddhist Sunday School, and also the Dhamma classes. Even the youth members also actually can watch this. And then, of course, all the parents and the grandparents who are following this presentation, later on they can also help to spread this story and tell others, because there's a very good action, a meritorious action. Right? To teach the Dharma is a very meritorious action. And then also, of course, all the teachers who had served for a long time in Sunday school, right? PBHP more than 30 years, so many have served a lot. So we'd like to thank all of you for all your efforts and of course taking time to follow this presentation. So as usual, let us end this presentation with 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all be well and peaceful. Take care.